Red Bull has assured Sergio Perez that Max Verstappen will support his goal to secure second in the standings in Abu Dhabi after the Dutchman refused to let him pass in Brazil due to a past incident. With the Mexican driver equal on points with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc and Verstappen's unwillingness to swap positions, costing him 2 points that could make the difference in Abu Dhabi. We go into Abu Dhabi as a team to do the very best that we can to help Checo achieve second place in the championship. Max is supportive of that, said Red Bull team boss Christian Horner. Daniel Ricciardo will do it tough to the end of his McLaren F1 career, with the Australian handed a 3-place grid penalty for the final round in Abu Dhabi for punting Haas's Kevin Magnussen out of the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 1. Ricciardo tapped Magnussen into a spin at turn 8, which caught him as he passed the Dane, sending him into the barrier and out of the race. Abu Dhabi will close out the 33-year-old's 2 painful seasons at McLaren. Logan Sargeant has continued progress towards an F1 drive next year at Williams, with the American again impressing the squad during a bonus FP2 at last weekend's Brazilian Grand Prix. Sargeant was originally handed 3 outings in Austin, Mexico, and Abu Dhabi, but was given FP2 in Brazil after he finished just 2 laps short in Mexico City of the 100-kilometer distance required for a bonus super license point. Alpine's Esteban Ocon topped Brazil's FP2 session ahead of Red Bull's Sergio Perez. Sargeant finished last, 4 spots behind Nicholas Latifi, but completed 28 laps for the super license point. Sargeant's 2023 F1 drive is dependent upon him securing a super license, with the American now just needing a top 6 F2 standings finish in Abu Dhabi to close the deal.
Just Abu Dhabi to go. I'm definitely confident at that track, and I think we should be on for a good one.
Former Renault F1 driver turned pundit Jolyon Palmer says it will be Nico Hülkenberg, not Mick Schumacher, in at Haas next year, with the German veteran set to replace his compatriot. Palmer revealed in a chat with the sport's official podcast F1 Nation that the Hulk thought mid-season his chances of a return to the grid were slim, but that the Haas chance came as a curveball.
I spoke to Nico in the summer, and he was saying, I think I'm done here, I've got nothing more. I don't think I'm going to get back on the grid. And suddenly this opportunity comes to him, and you can see why. With Haas needing or wanting experienced drivers, he's shown what he can do.
Palmer said that the decision was a bit harsh on Schumacher, who hasn't scored points since Austria and has roundly failed to make an impression on Brazil pole sitter Kevin Magnussen.
The top end, I think, is a really high level between your Max, your Lewis, your Charles, George, these guys. And I wouldn't put Kev in that bracket, but I think he's a really established, good midfielder, which is why he was brought back, basically.
Sir Lewis Hamilton didn't win the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but the weekend was still special for the 7-time F1 world champion, with the 37-year-old awarded his honorary Brazilian citizenship in an official ceremony at the Chamber of Deputies in Brasilia last week. Hamilton was put forward for the decoration earlier this year, with Brazil's lower house of parliament passing the bill in June. The award was presented by Arthur Lira, the Speaker of the lower house, with Hamilton dedicating it to Ayrton Senna, the late great 3-time F1 world champion who so inspired his fellow Brazilians.
It is honestly the greatest honor for me to be here receiving and accepting the citizenship. I really do feel like now I'm one of you finally, so thank you.
But while Hamilton said the support he received from Brazilian fans last year as he fought back for the race win to keep his title dreams alive was one of the most special moments of his life, Speaker Lira, however, courted controversy when he compared the 2021 F1 title decider in Abu Dhabi to local Brazilian football club Flamengo's fortunes.
The feeling of your fans is the same that we as Flamengo fans have. We've been robbed at some point. The number of trophies you have is 7, but in the heart of the fans, you have 8.
Last weekend's Sao Paulo Grand Prix may have run without a Brazilian driver, but one prospect isn't far away, with 2022's F2 champion Felipe Drugovich getting his first taste of F1 power earlier this month. Care of a maiden test for Aston Martin at Silverstone, where he drove the AMR 21 to complete FIA requirements to secure an F1 super license, with a chance to run in both dry and wet conditions. Drugovich, who was named in September as the opening member of the Green Team's driver development program, will be reserve racer with Stoffel van Dorn in 2023. He will also replace Lance Stroll in Abu Dhabi's FP1 and will stay on at Yas Marina Circuit to drive in the post-season test. Felipe did an excellent job during his Silverstone test session. He quickly adapted to the car and the changing conditions and was on the pace after just a handful of laps, said team boss Mike Crack. Mercedes is taking its time in signing up its reserve drivers for next year, with no shortage of options available, including soon-to-be free agent Daniel Ricciardo, currently racing with McLaren. Mercedes' current reserves Nick de Vries and Stoffel van Dorn will both leave the Silver Arrows at the end of the season, with de Vries racing for Red Bull's sister team AlphaTauri and van Dorn reserved for Aston Martin with Felipe Drugovich. But while Ricciardo has been linked with a move to the team, Mercedes says nothing is concrete yet, while it's not yet known what effect the Australian's ongoing fall from grace will have. For us, we very much like him. He's a great character, said Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff. Red Bull has finally released footage of Pierre Gasly's last laps of Imola in an AlphaTauri car, which were completed during a September filming day for the AT03 in the week after the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Gasly, who switches to midfield rival Alpine from next year for his chance to one day fight at the front, said while he was sad to leave Red Bull's sister team, he felt it was needed given his extended tenure. As for whether his current teammate Yuki Tsunoda can lead the team in 2023, with full-time rookie Nick de Vries alongside, Gasly said the jury's still out, despite the Japanese driver's massive development. His path to F1 was kind of fast-forward. He went F4, F3, F2, and straight to F1 at quite a young age, with not so much experience. So I think only time will tell, he said. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin says the sport must ensure that the banning of tire blankets from 2024 doesn't come at the cost of close racing. F1 has already junked its plans to reduce tire blanket temperatures from next year, but intends to go ahead with a ban on the product from 2024, which Shovlin says could affect the racing if the sport's ever-increasing downforce levels outstrip the rubber's capabilities. I think it's very easy to look at the Formula 2 series and say, well, they do it, but the energies involved are enormously higher. We're doing around 20 seconds quicker per lap at some circuits, and that challenge for Pirelli is very, very difficult, he said. George Russell took his maiden Grand Prix victory in Brazil on Sunday, ending Mercedes' drought. But the brand's success continued well beyond Interlagos, with its F1-inspired road car, One, smashing the Nürburgring's production car lap record last month by over 8 seconds. The One, which features Brixworth's F1 power unit with its 1.6-litre turbo V6 engine and multiple energy recovery systems, topped the timesheets on October 28th with sports car driver Mauro Engel behind the wheel. Incredibly, the lap that stands was completed literally at the last minute, just before the Nordschleife closed for the day. The One, with its lap time of 6 minutes 35.183, defeated Porsche's last record run, which featured Lars Kern driving a 911 GT2 RS MR. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.